Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Try a Different Angle event, in which the Anglerfin has been added to the game, though of course, we actually have a second thing coming in as well, which is probably way more relevant. It is the Triton. So this guy ends up coming in with a 50% mana start to all Merfolks, which will make quite a few Merfolks better. The most noteworthy one being Megavore, oddly enough, which is not one actually from this kingdom. However, it does have the only 4 times armor tier in the game. Not the troop itself, but the Megavore itself that you can now 50% mana start. So it has a lot of potential to be decent. But let's start from the top and go over all the things that we have going on this week. Of course, last week ended up concluding pretty much every single event that was going on. We're probably getting a patch this Tuesday, and by probably I mean like 99.9% sure that tomorrow we will be having a patch. We'll be going over on stream and might do a little bit of a other video kind of going over, depending on how much there is to cover. But we'll be doing that tomorrow night once it launches, which should be pretty much exactly when we do our stream normally, so that's pretty convenient. Anyways, as far as this guy comes in with red Blue Arcanes, he's pretty underwhelming, unfortunately, especially compared to the one in the event key drop table. He destroys all yellow gems, and then there's a 10% chance to devour an enemy boosted by yellow gems destroyed. So this is a pretty low boost ratio. He's only going to be getting 1 additional % on his devour per every single yellow on the gem on the board, and that means, let's say there's like 10 yellow on the board, that means he's only going to be getting about a 20% devour. He does get to destroy, so he does get mana accumulation for all those yellows. However, it's still pretty bad overall, and not really something you're going to be using. There's just not much of a point to. There are better devourers out there, and he's just not going to get used. He's basically a way weaker version of the Mythic from the same kingdom. Speaking of which, of course, we do have access to the event key drop table for Merlantis, which means that Mythic is indeed in drop table. We can see all the options if we go over to Merlantis and then order them in a nicely fashion. So we go to Merlantis, go to base rarity, and click show all if you don't have them. So here we have every single one that is available in the kingdom. It's a rather average kingdom, definitely one I would say is skippable. If you're going for anything, you probably want to go get yourself a Triton. And then after you get Triton, maybe stop, as he's probably the main pickup you really want to get. Piskia is okay. I'm personally not a fan of it. It is among one of the better double devour chance mythics. There's a couple of different ones that are capable of doing this mechanic, and he's definitely one of the more competent ones at doing so, due to the fact that he gets to destroy all green, which is why I was saying he's kind of similar to the destroy all yellow devour one, because he's basically destroy all green and devour while also creating blue, and specifically to devour. So if you want to use something like that new trip that came in, you're pretty much just running a Piskia instead if you want that similar mechanic. But overall, it's a pretty average kingdom, pretty skippable, but there is a new troop, of course, the Triton. He ends up doing heavy splash damage to an enemy boosted by blue gems and give all Merfolk allies 4 magic. So that's quite a bit of magic overall if you're running pure Merfolk. That's 16 across your entire team, even though the base value is pretty small. He also gets Ice Storm, which is probably the most relevant thing here. Ice Storm into 50% mana start, 50% mana start to all Merfolk, which of course includes himself, and a Blue Storm, which pretty much every single thing that is Merfolk will end up utilizing. Almost every Merfolk in the game is blue. I believe it's like 90% of them or something, a really high number, 80, 90%. Actually, out of any typing in the game, I believe it has the highest ratio of troops that are the same color, specifically blue here. So pretty nice in that regard, and should get to see some amount of usage. Overall, there's not too many combos you can do with it, but I'm curious to see what kind of Megavore teams we'll start seeing pop up. That's a really annoying troop that we're probably going to see more often, though it is not an event key drop table. Also, speaking of things that are also not an event key drop table, they are the following. Obviously, the 4 faction troops from specifically the Sea of Sorrows. Those are not. Aside from that, that might actually be the only thing. Is that the only thing exclusive here? I'm trying to see if I'm missing something, but no, I believe those are the only 4 not in drop table for once. It's just simply the 4 faction troops. Everything else you see here is in event key drop table then. Anyways, as far as our main guild-related event, we finally have a Tower of Doom. For any of you that don't know, Tower of Doom is that one event that comes like once every several years, it feels like. Once every 11 weeks between the campaigns, we end up getting a Tower of Doom event. Basically, you just want to report back to your guild what all the better rooms are, like the unlock, the fireball, the heroisms, the powers, basically anything of value that your guild wants to accumulate. Basically have someone go forward, scout out what they are, then you report back what all the better ones are, and then the rest of the guild goes and does those better ones. It's similar, or by similar, like the exact same battles that you have for the Underworld. However, the restriction's a little bit different. It is pure blue, so we can end up utilizing the 50% mana start Merlantis troop if we so choose, but there's also standard blue Guild War teams, there's Truffle Spam, there's quite a few that we can end up getting away with, and of course we're going over those teams in a moment here. on this video here. Anyways, as far as other things that we have going on this week, this Tuesday we have a patch. There's pretty much guaranteed patch that should be coming out at around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, which coincidentally is also when we happen to stream, so we'll be going over that then. We'll also be having the faction event for Sea of Sorrows, which is a blue-brown restricted faction. This Wednesday, we're going to be getting the dog pet for International Dog Day. If I'm not mistaken, International Dog Day is this Friday. So unlike International Cat Day, where we got it 2 days late, or, because it always falls on Wednesday, this time we get it 2 days early because the holiday is on Friday and the pet is on this Wednesday, as they always fall. This Thursday, we have ourselves the class event for the Tidecaller hero class. Overall, Tidecaller, not the greatest of hero class, so he definitely improves quite a bit by having a 50% mana start. He already has a natural 50% mana start, but now you can build it into a pure Merfolk team that also has 50% mana start. Could get a little bit more usage. Overall, it tends to just be weaker Frost Mage, which tends to just be weaker Elementalist, which tends to just be weaker like every other hero class in the game. Or, compared to Elementalist. But normally Frost Mage is the main thing contesting it for like better option, but now that you get 50% full build out of it, you might start to get to see a little bit more use than what it got before. It's the best submerging hero class in the game, the overall best submerger, so it has that going for it. Just submerge is a very gimmicky mechanic that you generally don't need too often, because it mostly just protects you from anything that hits all enemies simultaneously, and there's a lot of builds that just don't have that mechanic at all. Anyways, next we have the Friday event. Friday event, we're actually getting the Deep Delve. We've only gotten 2 of these so far. We're finally getting the 3rd. Of course, whenever we get a Deep Delve, this means we get a new format for the faction and also get a new troop for the faction. This one is specifically hitting on Hall of Guardians, which is a brown-yellow, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, a brown-yellow faction. So we'll have that event going on this Friday for those 3 days. So we'll be able to get a new troop. We'll have a new format that hopefully is better overall loot, because Hall of Guardians is one of those earlier ones. Well, all the ones we've been getting so far are those earlier ones that actually have 0 guaranteed treasure rooms. So hopefully the new format has at least 1, if not multiple, treasure rooms to kind of make up for the fact that treasure rooms didn't exist at the time when Hall of Guardians was first created as a delve. So we'll see exactly what they end up doing with that this Friday. Other than that, let's go over to all of the Soulforge related things. Looks like we got a Spring Imp right now. That's one of those ones that are just occasionally here. Normally, it's not really worth getting it out of season, but if you're looking for completion's sake, it's not needed for any kingdom upgrade. But it is still worth mentioning when they're around. As far as mythics, there are a lot of good mythics this week. Honestly, wait, is there even a single bad mythic in Soulforge this week? Where's the 4th one? I can't see where the 4th one is. Where's the... Oh, it's Mithrilian. Yeah, you can ignore that one. So we got 3 good mythics then. So let's start from the top. Guard's Avatar. You probably see me running this almost every Tuesday where we're allowed to. Pretty much if the delve allows brown... yeah, pretty much just brown. You can end up running Guard's Avatar. Actually, it's brown or yellow. If it uses either of those 2 colors, you can end up running the 50% mana start for it. But anyways, it deals damage. It's basically Rowain, if Rowain hit all enemies simultaneously. It deals damage to all enemies, boosted by my armor, and then burns undead, silences daemons. But the main thing that's relevant is its damage to all enemies based on armor. This ends up doing basically Rowain, except it's hitting all enemies at the same time. It essentially has the same ratio as Rowain as well. Rowain does 2 times based on her armor, and this does 2.1, which means technically it's getting 4 less damage per armor. However, it's hitting everything simultaneously, which means, you're hitting 4 enemies. So it's, in theory, is the same damage output as a Rowain, just with a bit of a higher mana cost and distributed in a different way. But it's really good when you're restricted out of an event in Coloration where you can't end up using Rowain. So relevant for those situations, so potentially worth considering. Tina 9000 to this day is still the best spell reduction troop. There are things that have higher spell reduction than it, however its main gimmick is, well, other than randomly getting a kill, it also gains a lot of armor per cast, making it the bulkiest troop in the game against specifically physical spellcasters. So this is really good against Yalgoi, Queen of Tanya, and pretty much anything that is super physical spell damage-wise, as it is the tankiest thing against it. So really good if they're going to be pressuring damage in that regard. And you can also pressure damage back with your really high damage output ability. You can also poke for pretty decent skull damage as well, assuming it doesn't take too much damage onto its armor. So overall, pretty nice, well-balanced troop that tends to be used for spell counters. And of course we have Obsidious. It's just a utility troop, used very occasionally, but it is noteworthy in that it has a 4x stun, which synergizes really good with 4x curse. So you can 4x curse, 4x stun an entire enemy team to make sure they lose all their traits. So you can do this even on Impervious if you have, of course, a curse to go with it. Stun itself won't hit impervious, but Curse Stun will. So it generally gets synergized in that regard, using a 4x Curse and then using a 4x Stun off of Obsidious to disable the entire enemy team in pretty much every possible way as far as traits are concerned. As far as weapons, there's nothing that's a must-have as far as weapons this week. Oh yeah, I didn't go over the Doom weapon. This is a really bad version of it. You can get it for 500 gems during the... Wait, did I not even go over Tower of Doom? I guess I kind of did. We kind of breezed over it kind of quickly. But Blue Tower of Doom, as far as the weapons recently, we've been getting these useless daggers. You can get this for 500 gems. I do advise getting it for gems rather than crafting in Soulforge here, though it is slightly cheaper to craft in Soulforge if you do end up going down that route. But this category of weapon is among one of the weaker ones that we've had as far as Doom weapons, so it's not a must-have, but if you're going to get it for completion's sake, just have more weapons for a kingdom, it can be okay. As far as weapons that you might want to end up getting, there is, of course, the standard Merfolk, just create a bunch of gems. This one is probably the most noteworthy weapon if you're going to get any weapon, mostly because of the new troop, the new legendary that's in the event queue drop table. So you can end up getting that and then having this synergize with it. So in those kind of situations, you might want to go down that route, as you can synergize it with the new legend that just came out. So it has that main purpose. But yeah, as far as where else to get that dagger, you can get it for 500 gems in the shop thingy over here. Up to tier 4 ends up costing 500 gems, and then you end up getting yourself the Doomed Dirk, which unfortunately is a very bad category of Doom weapon, but it's still a Doom weapon. It's still another weapon for the kingdom, so you might want to get it, one less thing you have to get later, and it's definitely cheaper to get it for gems now than it is to get it through diamonds or any other resource at a later point, so worth considering. Anyways, let's go over a bunch of teams that we have throughout the week. I'll be going over everything except the Friday faction, because we'll be going over that then once we have the new troop and everything for Hall of Guardians for that brown-yellow restriction. However, let's go over everything else. So let's start from the top. Blue Doom Loop. This is pretty much a standard of like a infinite loop you can get, just double truffle. We're using it with Forest Troll and Mirage Queen. You can end up replacing out something in this team, like let's say Mirage Queen for Hero. You are allowed to use any colored weapon in Tower of Doom. Do be mindful of that. However, this one does just go for specific troops that are all of the color, but you can make your weapon whatever you want. So you can go like a Doomed Club and back, which is like a brown Doom weapon. So you can kind of go something like that to end up using the Truffles Brown a little bit more or something similar. Next, we have ourselves the Blue Insta-Kill. This is a kind of weird version of an Iron Gut Zugoth built based on pure blue. Ends up using Elementalist with the Tome of Roshia's Tome in order to mana accumulate, and we basically mana accumulate off of that to go for High King Iron Gut Zugoth and just kind of kill out from there. There's quite a few things we can end up replacing out this other one depending on how we want to run it, but that's the way we have it for that particular team. Next we have the Merfolk 50% start, so this one ends up utilizing the new Triton that came into the game, as well as the Megavore, which is probably the main beneficiary of his 50% mana start. This also uses that new weapon not new weapon, but the weapon I was mentioning earlier, the Iron Wave, which you can end up getting from the Soulforge this week, which ends up creating a bunch of blue and brown boosted by Merfolk. And guess what? This team is pure Merfolk, as is the hero class and everything else. And you are allowed to use a non-blue weapon. You can use any color you want, so we are using a red-yellow here. As long as all your troops are blue, you're allowed to use any weapon you want as far as Tower of Doom is concerned. So we're basically going with a Megavore, tearing all their armor as quickly as we possibly can. Then we're basically chipping them down with both Undyne, Triton, and our Iron Wave. And we basically just keep spamming that until we get it down. He's okay amount of damage pressure. Overall, they're not going to be like the best of damage, but you know, they still damage pressure. You can still clean up troops and just get that Megavore down, get that armor tier, and you're already half dead on every single enemy simply from casting Megavore. And whatever you target is beyond half dead. So you can kind of keep doing their splash chip damage to kill out whatever's left. So here we have our, oh gosh, what's the restriction for tomorrow again? It was blue-brown is the restriction for tomorrow. So you can end up running anything with blue-brown. Of course, your weapon can still be anything you want. This is for specifically the Merlantis faction, which is the Sea of Sorrows. So this is for Sea of Sorrows. It's just basically a Rowan team building whatever we can based on the restriction. Here we have a pretty standard Iron Gut Zugoth team, just using Angry Mob and Essence of Evil for mana accumulation and disable, and backup plan of resummon. And then for Pure Faction, there are two ways you can run this. You can run this into Hammerclaw into triple Deep King, or you can go a little bit more of a defensive route, where we go Hammerclaw, Sea Witch, and then double Deep King. This guy is here pretty much entirely for his 50% scroll reduction. You don't ever want to cast his ability unless he's about to die. Sea Witch is here to keep your first slot alive, while also mana accumulating for your entire team by creating blue and brown, similar to that other weapon, except it does it off of blue-purple instead of red-yellow. Next we have ourselves the Deep King. This ends up doing a bunch of true damage splash and is going to be your primary and pretty much only damage source in this team. You can triple up on him. You can even quad up if you really want to go all in if you feel like you have enough stats and the barrier potion effect will be enough. However, yeah, you can triple up, you can quad up. This one is a double one just to play it a little bit safer, but your primary goal is to keep casting him until you true damage down the entire enemy team and then you win. That's your main gimmick of this team, just keep casting him until you win, as is pretty much every single faction for the most part. A good majority of them are just spam the legend, and the rest are pretty much a support to allow you to spam the legend, and this one's pretty much no different. Anyways, as far as the final one that we're showing for this video, we have ourselves the Tidecaller class this Thursday. This one ends up utilizing just a simple blue weapon. Any blue weapon that hits all enemies will be fine. You can use any other alternative if you don't have Dawnbringer. Just anything that hits all enemies. Here we're just using Triton for 50% mana start for our entire team. This can also do a little bit of damage pressure if you want. And this little Axel is only here for its blue link. This is just to give blue link to your weapon. So whatever blue weapon you're doing there, you'll be able to get a bunch of additional blue based on the banner, based off the Axels, and based on whatever hero is giving you. Like right now, we're getting an additional +1 off of Tidecaller. So in this particular team, we actually have +5, and we can actually have +6 if we actually replace out Triton too. However, it seems fine with Triton. So I was rolling with that to just, spam your weapon, get through these free battles, get your free 25 gems, and if you haven't maxed out Tidecaller class, a little bit of XP towards your Tidecaller class. Anyways, guys, that'll wrap it up for now. Of course, we will have almost guaranteed a patch this Tuesday, so we definitely have that to look forward to. Really curious to see what it ends up doing. It's called the Dragon's Path, and I believe we're getting 7 new dragons, 1 per element in the game. The 6 elements plus skulls. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how that pans out. As far as all the details, I'm not really sure. We'll find out tomorrow night and go from there. Anyways, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful week. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. All of the teams that we just went over are in the description if you want to go copy paste any of them. And I will catch you guys later. Goodbye, everyone. And thanks for watching.